All right, welcome. Have you ever stopped to think about what a language is really made of? Today, we're not going to try to teach you a new language from square one. Nope. Instead, we're going to deconstruct one, see how it's actually built, piece by piece, from the ground up. And really, it all boils down to this one question. How do you go from just stating simple facts about yourself to actually telling your story? That's the journey we're going on today, from the most basic statements to the rich narratives that make us who we are. Language is all about people, so let's start there. Let's meet our cast of characters. These are the folks from our source material who are, right now, figuring out how to share their world with us. First up, we've got Jonas. See, with just a few basic building blocks, we can already paint a pretty clear picture: where he lives, who he lives with, and even a cool little detail about their apartment. It's a solid, factual start. Simple, but it works. Okay, next, here's Marie. And with Marie, we're adding another layer here. We're talking about family history and personal skills. We can describe where her parents come from and this really impressive fact that she speaks 2 languages. The picture is definitely getting richer. And here's Julia. Now we can start listing her hobbies, what she does for fun, socializing, playing sports, and her connection to her family's horse. We're describing the things that fill up her life, what she truly enjoys. And finally, we have Ben. We know his job, his family. So, okay, we've met our class. They can all state basic facts about themselves. But how do they start connecting all these dots? How do you get from Julia has parents and there is a horse to talking about her parents' horse? Well, to build those kinds of connections, our characters need a new tool. They need a way to talk about who owns what and what belongs to whom. And this is where you start to see that grammar isn't just some dusty set of rules. It's literally how we build relationships between things in the world. Just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got the sister of Julia. I mean, it gets the job done, but it's kind of clunky, right? Then look at the right, Julia's sister. It's just so much cleaner, more efficient, and direct. This shows perfectly how one little grammatical tool can make language flow so much better. And yeah, that powerful little tool has a fancy name, the genitive case. But don't get hung up on the term. Just think of it as the language's special way of drawing a direct line between 2 things, like Julia and her sister. Our characters have just added a totally essential piece of gear to their communication toolbox. Okay, so our characters can describe their present pretty well. But life isn't just about the here and now, is it? To tell a real story, you have to be able to talk about what's already happened. This, right here, is the next huge leap. Now, talking about the past often means changing up your verbs. But instead of getting bogged down in a million different rules, just think of it like a few simple recipes. For a regular verb like wohnen, which means to live, the recipe is basically to add ge at the front and te at the end. And just like that, wohnt becomes hat gewohnt, has lived. It's basically a system for time travel with words. So what does this look like out in the wild? Well, Ben can now say something like, my sister bought a computer. See, he's not just stating I have a sister anymore. He's sharing a specific event, a little moment from her life. Or check this one out. Pietro and Anna got married in the summer. This isn't just a fact. It's a huge life event, a milestone. And boom. Just like that, we've officially jumped from simple descriptions into the real world of storytelling. A personal history is starting to take shape. So our characters can say what is happening and what has happened. But the best stories aren't just about what happened. They're about why it happened. And this is where things get really, really interesting. So to explain why, you need a word for because. In German, you've got a couple of options, like Denn and Weil. And what's wild is that this tiny choice totally changes the rhythm of the sentence. With Denn, the verb just stays put in its usual spot. But with Weil, the verb gets kicked all the way to the end of the line. It's a subtle little dance that adds a different flavor to what you're saying. In a real conversation, it would sound like this. Leah can't come because she is visiting her father. By adding that one simple word, Weil, Leah is doing something incredibly human. She's giving a reason, a motivation, and suddenly, we get her. We can relate to her decision. All right, we've gathered our tools. We can describe the present, we can talk about the past, and we can explain our reasons why. So now, let's see what happens when we put all these pieces together to build something we all recognize, a real, actual conversation. Take a look at this back and forth. You start with an invitation, but step 2, that's the real game changer, the refusal. Just saying, sorry, I can't, can be a little blunt, but adding, because I have to work, that changes everything. That little word, because, is the key to the whole thing. It makes the interaction polite, it makes it clear, and it opens the door for a counterproposal, and finally, an agreement. This is language in action. And that's really what it all comes down to. You see, things like the genitive case or the past tense or the word for because, they're not just boring rules you have to memorize from a textbook. They are the actual tools, the Lego bricks that we use to build connections, to share our histories, and to create a whole world of shared meaning. We've seen how language builds this world of shared meaning. But what if it does more than just, describe the world we already see? The source material we looked at mentioned this fascinating idea called a dunkel restaurant, a restaurant where you eat in total darkness. Think about it. In a place like that, sight is completely gone. You're forced to rely on everything else, taste, smell, touch, sound, to experience your meal. And that kind of leaves us with this final big idea. We think of language as a tool to describe the world we see, but for Jonas, Marie, Julia, and Ben, as they learn all these new structures and rhythms, are they just learning new labels for the world they already know? Or are they, in a way, like someone eating in the dark, discovering a totally new way to experience the world through a different set of senses? Maybe learning a language isn't just about describing reality. Maybe it's about building a new one.